of Unseasoned Wonders and Blunders. My name's Andrew,
My name's Emily.
and we are back discussing Duck Patrol.
Duck Patrol, you got it.
I did get it. I was going to say duck soup because somebody fed me that line right before we hit record. Oh,
Who would
but
do
no.
such a thing?
Who
Who would do
would
such?
do such a thing? Who would try to sabotage discussing this joyful, cozy, heartwarming British sitcom?
We have Andy Kindler with us today to talk about how much it sucks.
I don't think you're licensed to play that. You'd need to reach out to him and get a permission slip.
Oh no, I bet he would be like, "Oh, you want me on your podcast? I'll be on."
I mean,
And then
he
and then
didn't
he wouldn't
offer,
watch it,
so
and then
he
he
didn't.
wouldn't watch the show, and
That's
then
fine. He also didn't offer when
that's
he found out about this. So
when you paid him to
when I
talk about how
paid
much it
him,
sucks. Thank you for that, by the way. Validated. I feel validated,
I
even
thought
if
you
I
might.
know, he's never seen the show, never even heard of the show. Made me
We
feel
don't
good.
know. We don't know. We don't know his life. He watches Shrinking, I think, for God's sake.
Yeah,
So,
he does.
okay. Second episode was very good of that. The first episode was not of the second season. Second episode was they finally called Jason Segel on being Jason Segel, which I think they are going to do if based on what I saw on social media, they do every episode now after the
Oh,
first one. But,
good.
well, I mean,
What's wrong with Jason Segel?
he's a white man, actually. He's
Oh,
a selfish, entitled white man who doesn't think about other people, really, even
okay.
though he's a therapist. And he centers himself in his patients' lives and things, and,
Ah,
and his friends' lives. And it's, yeah. Okay, so, but we're not talking about that show because it's on its second season, so it doesn't qualify. We will have to wait to find Emily her first Brett Goldstein show. Okay, so yes, so this is episode 3,
three
occurrences,
occurrences. In
and
this episode, we have some action, actually, a little bit of action.
we have some of the worst directed action, which
But
might be part
action
of the gag.
nonetheless.
Yes, there is action. But yeah, it might be part of the gag that you can't tell what's going on. Um, so the episode opens with David Tennant and Prof, the de facto commanding officer of the Skiff
Duck,
Patrol,
Duck
uh,
Patrol.
Duck Patrol, and they are discussing, and David Tennant is whining about how Marilyn is in love with Hero, and Hero's in love with Marilyn, and Prof says why, and David Tennant says because he takes his shirt off all the time around her, and Prof goes, he does that around me. I don't think it means anything. And then David Tennant goes, oh, he does that around me too. Maybe it doesn't mean anything. And then Prof goes, well, I'm working with her tomorrow, and I hope she takes her shirt off around me. And David Tennant's like, rude. And then
He gets grumpy. He doesn't even do that. He just gets grumpy about it.
he looks out the window wistfully and dejected.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just gets a little grumpy because he can't apparently communicate his feelings as a 27, 28-year-old man, child.
Well, there you go. Shock of shocks. Okay. So, well, what if she didn't like him back? Then what would he do?
He'd have
He'd
to
never,
kill her. Duh.
obviously, he could dump her in the river. Duh. That's
And he's a
episode
cop, so
11.
he can get away
Get
with
away
it.
with it. Obviously. Oh, what are we
Oh,
thinking?
God. Police
Oh,
abuse is so funny.
it's the funniest. So we then cut to the next day, where
No, don't they approach the boat first?
no, because
They
that's with Prof and Marilyn approach
I
the
thought
boat.
no, Prof and Darwin approached the boat too.
No, Darwin
Because
and Hero approach the boat, and Hero saves the guy.
oh yeah, you're right. Okay. Sorry. Sorry.
You were blinded by so much man meat. I know.
Ugh.
It's hard. It's hard. Craig Fairbass is still in shit, by the way. I think he's in Danny Dyer movies if you want to start checking them out. Also, we started watching Rivals on Disney Plus.
Okay.
It's set in the 80s. It's about British rich people fucking, and David Tennant is in it, and it's also about him having a rivalry with an MP. David Tennant's nouveau riche, and the MP's not. Yes, there you go. Thank you for showing me pictures of the man mate you like. Um, thank goodness we record this with video. Okay, so anyway, but yes, it's on Disney Plus and it's incredibly fucky, and there's like tons of boobs and butts, and it's very weird that it's on
Mhm.
Disney Plus, but it's basically like tawdry prestige dynasty or something.
That doesn't, that's not with, does that have, Lucy Liu in it?
No,
Okay.
no Americans so far, except the black lady who David Tennant brings in to run TV in the 80s, and
Okay.
she gets subjected to, yeah,
Cool stuff, I'm sure.
cool
Fun.
stuff. Anyway, we've only watched the first one because it was uncomfortably fucky. So just like butt cheeks grinding at the beginning. So you'll have to check to see if you like the boys on it, because if you do, there you go. Anyway, moving on to this David Tennant show, turning back the clock. Yes, so Prof and Marilyn observe a boat that has loose moorings, and then we cut to the action inside the boat,
Yes.
where two erratic gentlemen are panicking, and one of them is bullying the other,
Into get rid of the stuff.
getting rid of the stuff. Now
This is
we
for personal use. No, but get rid of the stuff.
the stuff. Which, hey now, it turns out if you'd been paying more attention, you might have caught on to the mystery, Inspector Brown or Encyclopedia Brown. Okay, so
Well,
it's an
I would
Encyclopedia
I would
Brown
also
mystery.
I would also have accepted Father Brown because that's
Father
also a
Brown.
mystery show. Yeah.
Okay. Um, Father Tad Brown. Okay, so what happens then? Uh, so they dump a bag with some pot and empty beer bottles in it,
Yeah.
and it sinks. So maybe there was some beer in some of those beer bottles. We don't know. Doesn't
Yeah.
matter. Never comes back, though it does. But then Prof totally misses that they're being weird, helps them with their mooring. Marilyn says they're being weird.
They're
Prof
being
says,
suspicious.
"You're a
Maybe we should check it
fucking
out.
girl.
Yeah.
Shut up. You're a
Also,
girl."
why are you making me do my job?
Which has a funny punchline in a second, because we
Yeah.
then cut to, well, wait, might actually get, yes, I think actually we do. So Prof goes up the river with Marilyn and they wave at them, but then the flunky has to jump in the water, presumably to dive in and get the bag.
Yes.
This is
He doesn't
when
he doesn't know how to swim to the bottom of the river.
it's very deep there, they
It's very
said.
deep. Yeah.
Yes. You hold your breath in or you blow it all out, one or the other. So then these are able-bodied seamen.
Hmm.
Okay. So then David Tennant and Hero come along. They see the guy in the river. David Tennant's like, hold on, something's weird about all this. Hero's like, hold on, takes off his shirt, runs and jumps in, saves the guy, quote unquote, forces CPR on him or some sort of Heimlicky thing, even though the guy says he's fine.
Yeah. And uh running gag, Hero disappears and reappears very quickly without a shirt on. David Tennant says, "How do you get your kit off so quickly?"
Yep. How does he
And
get his kid off so quickly?
he does still have pants on, folks. He's just doesn't have his shirt and jacket on anymore. And tie, probably. I bet it's stripper. It's like a stripper police uniform. It's just tearaway, right?
I don't know what you're talking about. I haven't seen a lot of strippers. Can you please tell me about the male strippers that you
Let me
enjoy the
show
most?
you. No.
Okay, thank you. Ah,
Just kidding. Gross.
Icky bad. Okay.
Icky bad.
So while they're talking to the flunky after he's out of the river, we see the other guy being hysterical, gesturing from a nearby warehouse or something.
Yeah,
And
again, it's hard to tell because they don't go into great detail.
no.
It's very weird. And David Tennant's like, something is off here.
And Hero's like, no, it's not. I would know. I checked him out. He's just fine, dummy, David Tennant.
Again, miscommunication that could have easily resolved this whole situation.
You know,
Whatever.
the best comedy writing is about people not talking to each other. So you can have a plot, obviously.
You know, I
Um,
love the Marx Brothers, and my favorite thing about the Marx Brothers is not the wordplay, it's all the other stuff. It's the unspoken stuff. Actually, it is Harpo Marx, but whatever. I do love Harpo. He is my
yeah,
favorite.
yeah,
So,
okay. Yeah, so he never speaks. So basically it's all the unspoken stuff. Okay.
honk honk.
Hong Kong. Um, okay, so then we cut to Sarge on his little garden boat, sputtering verbally as he reads a letter somewhat aloud to himself. And there are things like
Yeah,
slight, ineffective, and all these things. We get back to the station where it might be the next day because I believe this is where it ends with David Tennant saying like good morning to the Taz guy. We also were going to have we established that Stan, who has we have seen but has never spoken, but appeared injured in the last episode and getting married in the first one, has again injured himself and is out for the day. So Marilyn will be back.
yeah,
And so Sarge comes in, says, Prof, I need to talk to you. And he says, okay, Prof, I got a letter here that says I'm not making enough arrests and there's not enough stuff in the occurrence book, hence the title.
yeah.
And so then,
And Prof takes it very personally.
yes,
He takes it as you, Prof, are not doing a good job as a police officer, which turns into like this embittered argument about, well, all you do is fish, you fucking ignoramus, blah, 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 blah.
which is true.
And yeah, which is true. And later on, it kind of comes back where Marilyn is trying to talk Prof down. Like, it's not a personal thing, you dum dum. Like, we're all responsible for having occurrences in this log, right? Like, whatever. It's really stupid, but it spurns on Prof to be a better police officer for
A day.
15 minutes. Yeah.
So they are then on the boat. Marilyn and Prof go out and they are flagged down by a woman on a houseboat who Prof
She
goes
looked
in.
familiar, the actress.
Prof interviews her alone, which is good because otherwise Marilyn would know that Prof is a little deceptive about his professionalism
Yeah.
because this woman is reporting a speeding boat in the middle of the night, to which Prof turns it into a conversation about, sleep disorders.
Yeah.
But then the woman's like, but they're smuggling. Isn't that a crime? And Prof's like, holy shit, it is a crime. This will look great in the occurrence book.
Yes.
So we then get Prof. No, before we get Prof going undercover, that's end of part one, actually.
Yes. Yeah, they
Yes, it
cut
is.
away and there's a
Yes,
picture of her houseboat.
yes, end of part one. Part two opens with Prof bringing in some beer for the tap at
Mhm.
Val's bar. And she's like, why are you working on your day off? I wanted you here to help. And he's like, well, I'm working undercover today. Puts on a deerstalker cap and heads out to stake out the boat, the smuggler's ship.
Taking with him Val's uncle Larry's binoculars
Yes.
that are
That do
of
not seem to work.
that don't seem to work, but are of great personal value to Val.
Yes. Um, we then cut to the C tier of the cops. So we've got Taz and the other lazy guy.
Mm-hmm.
They're trying to close the lock, and the smuggler ship is acting erratic,
And
making
making it impossible for them to do their job.
yes, make confusing lazy cop, not Taz, because Taz is busy talking to his mistress about how they're going to go have a nooner. And so Taz leaves to have a nooner. And so basically, what we're establishing, even though the show doesn't, is that the smuggling ship, is delayed. Because we then cut to Prof staked out behind a bush, um, trying to get the binoculars to work with his sunglasses. And he appears to his informant, the lady from the day before, to be peeping on her.
Yes.
Um, a uniformed land-based police officer approaches Prof and questions him. They soon establish that he is a police officer, and they discuss the binoculars at length, including as the smuggling ship arrives, Prof pulling the police officer to cover, and the binoculars going in the river. At
Yes.
that point, it turns out that the smugglers are going to continue on and not more because they were
Mm-hmm.
scared. We never discussed that. We don't see that on screen. It is an implication of this delicately plotted, intricately plotted, um, just coziness that Emily so the ITV coziness of the 90s that Emily just sits down with her knitting needle and stabs babies. Okay. Emily also edits the podcast, so who knows? Who knows what stays and what goes? Um, so
I really
then,
only have to edit out all of your racial epithets.
and I do
That's
appreciate that. I do
yeah.
appreciate that. You fucking honky. You fucking honky.
I
You
won't edit that one.
crackety ass cracker. Okay.
I'm not a cracker, to be fair. I'm not from Florida, and none of my family is from Florida.
I think that's being very specific, and I've never heard that it's only for Florida.
Oh,
Okay.
well, my husband is from Florida, but still not a cracker. So
That I don't believe that being a cracker is geographically constrained. We'll
it
have to do
is.
some research on this.
There is a very specific definition of cracker.
It's a hard biscuit one eats with soup.
Florida crackers are colonial era British American pioneer settlers, and their descendants are considered crackers. So,
I
just
mean,
an
yes,
FYI.
definitely their descendants are considered crackers. Definitely. I agree. I agree with that part of it. Their descendants are definitely crackers. Yes. All
Anyway,
descendants of Florida crackers are crackers.
we're teaching our listener, our one listener, something
Oh,
new about white people that maybe they didn't know.
didn't want to know. Okay. So
Hmm.
crackers best served with mayo. Okay.
Ugh.
So then, oh God. So then we cut to Hero with his shirt off diving. He doesn't find the binoculars. He's talking to Prof about the binoculars. This
Yes.
all gets some sort of discussion, and then Hero goes back in. We
Hmm.
then cut to the police station where they were all staring at the joint, meaning they
Yes.
found the bag. Now,
Yes. I
much
thought that
like
I thought that the weed was separate from the bag.
mm, it goes in the
I
bag.
don't know.
It's like
Okay,
the
I don't
first thing in
remember.
the bag. It's idiotic because there's no discussion of the bag or anything else in the bag.
Because and it's like it's so small and they're all like it's like on a table or in somebody's hand and they're all just
Yeah.
like staring at it, but there's no discussion of anything else.
Remember remember when you used to go to Twitter and see cops post pictures of their big bust and it was three joints. And they were like, we're fucking heroes. Like,
Yeah.
Jesus Christ, then us. Yeah. It's the same thing, Emily. It's propaganda. Yeah. Just because it's cozy doesn't mean it's not propaganda, Emily.
I normally enjoy propaganda,
Well,
so
there you go. There's not enough something in this. It's too nice. It's too wholesome for you and your murder stories. Okay. So, yeah.
that's probably true.
Um, we haven't done like a one season crime show or something like
Mm-mm.
a murder show. We could do
I
that.
mean, a lot of the shows we've watched have been criminally bad, but I've already got the next season picked out, by the way.
Okay,
I'm gonna surprise you with it.
cool. What the hell happens next? This one felt really long. Like there was
It felt really long.
the
Do we
beginning was
do we cut to Prof and Val on the couch watching TV
no,
after?
we haven't done the bust yet. So they're
Oh,
sitting
right.
around
There's the
looking at the
bus.
weed, they're looking at the joint, they're like, is that marijuana? And somebody's like, that is marijuana. It's probably enough to supply the whole hemisphere. A fucking roach. So it's okay though. They're all functioning alcoholics, and that's totally different.
Yeah.
Um, so then Darwin comes. So then they're talking about how they're going to do the raid. Sarge says, "You've got to fucking do it. I want you to be famous. I want you to be on TV." Prof's like, "Oh." Then they talk about like how they're going to do it. They're going to wear like helmets and call the news and have a whole thing.
Hmm.
Then Darwin comes in and is like, hey, Prof, I couldn't fix these. In fact, I made them worse. Now, when you look through them, things are a little bit farther away. Prof does not say, yeah, they were always fucking broken. He's like, well, you just suck, Darwin. No wonder Marilyn doesn't want to fuck you. Womp,
Yep.
womp. We
Yep.
then cut to the raid where we have the lengthy raid, lots of close camera tight shots, like close-up shots of
As
like
you said, very badly
I
directed.
mean it seems like it's a bit because it's just so shitty.
I remember, so little side story. I remember when Rome came out in like 2005 or whatever, and I was so disappointed that there were no battle scenes. It was just like shots of feet, like sandaled feet running through mud and stuff. And I was like, God damn. Well, of course, now we know that they just blew their entire budget on special effects and could not film a giant battle scene. But that's what this felt like. It's like, what budget do you have that you're blowing that you can't show a wide shot of all of this shit going down? Like
I mean,
that's what my initial thought was. It's like, why can't you do this better?
which is why I think it's a bit.
Okay.
But also it appears to be the cast in the like rating gear because the only other
Mm,
thing I could think is you could do, but like if you fake shemped it, you'd want to do long shots.
yeah.
So it makes no sense why they did it like this
Yeah.
other than to create a confusing situation. We also have a bit where Prof has learned to read the British version of the Miranda rights. And that was something we
Right.
didn't touch on because it happened in one scene before the raid, so it had no weight. Um, but then it turns out that they didn't, Prof and Marilyn didn't moor their boat before raiding the smugglers, and it is going out. And the whole episode has had this undercurrent of of Prof telling stories about when boats aren't moored right and how they fucking end up someplace else.
But also, Prof has been um again over sort of grand over grandizing his own police
Mm,
work by calling the woman who was talking about the smuggling in the beginning like his source
mm.
and doing undercover work. And he told Val at some point like, some of my police work, I have to keep to myself because I don't want you to be in danger. So he's like really being self-aggrandizing in this one episode again because he has felt threatened by his boss telling him he needs more occurrences in the occurrence book. So, and that just kind of comes back into play in this. I thought I would just mention it since we were talking about his mooring stories.
His boring, mooring stories,
His
yes.
boring mooring stories.
Um, and so we then have, yes, so Hero jumps in,
Saves the boat.
saves the boat. Prof says, how does he get his kid off that fast?
Ba-da-ba-ba-da-ba.
And then we cut to Val and Prof on the couch watching the news. All that's on the news, even though they arrested these smugglers, is Hero with his shirt off.
Yeah. And can I also say, it was actually smugglers. I mean, it wasn't just a miscommunication. Like this whole time I was waiting, like, what are these dumb idiots up to? They're not smuggling. What are we going to find out they're actually hiding?
And
But they're actually smugglers.
what are they smuggling, Emily?
Well, here's the deal. So, Prof tells Val, like, oh, yeah, they were smugglers. And again, he's making himself out to be more important than he actually is in this story. Not that he didn't actually arrest smugglers, but, he wasn't on the news. The news didn't seem to care about that. And Val does this very like, oh, drugs. Oh, I hate drugs. They destroy people's lives. And Prof is like, oh, actually, it's beer. They're smuggling cheap beer and distributing it to pubs along the river. And Val's face kind of falls a little bit. And we discover that Val is one of the recipients of this cheap beer. And she says to him, well, there's some aspects of my job that I don't feel like I need to share with you because you're a police officer and I could be arrested for this and go in your fucking occurrence book and then you wouldn't get in trouble anymore.
There you
Cool.
go. Instead, we cut to a cozy shot of the seaside housing.
Mm-hmm.
Hear them having a little banter. He says, you know, you're under arrest. And she says, oh, shut up and drink your Garbennock, which is the name of the German beer that they are pretending is good English lager or something. And that's it. That's the
That's
end
it.
of the episode. And damn, that first half is long. Like the second half, the
It
first
seemed to
half
get
was,
wrapped up pretty quickly.
yeah, I was by the end of the first half, I was like, God, I remember on the last episodes, at least we got to part two quicker than this. But no, no real subplots this
Mm-mm.
episode. We don't, there's like no development for Darwin, the love triangle. There's nothing. Yeah. It's very action packed, action oriented, procedural this time for Encyclopedia Brown and the water or the Duck Patrol.
Next
Yeah.
episode 4. Are we close to being done? Jeez Louise.
Gosh.
Um, it's called Spirit of the Deep. Something Darwin thinks he sees a mermaid. Maybe he'll get into a throuple with a mermaid and Marilyn. Wouldn't that be sexy? I doubt it'll happen. Thank you all for listening. Andrew, thank you for watching the show with me, and see you in television land.
See you in television land, Emily.